Hey, Eric.
John,
How you doing tonight?
good. Back to the real world.
Back to the land of the rain instead of the snow. Yep. Yep.
Which is nice because after we had left Grandma's house, they
Yeah.
got another 2.5 feet of snow over the last 3 days.
Yeah, there's a reason I
So-
don't live where it snows much anymore.
They and it's April. They are tired of the snow. The extended family is, we're coming to live at your house. And the other part of the family in Arizona is like, ha ha.
Yeah, it's 70 degrees.
75. My grass is green.
Come jump in the pool.
Then I'm just like,
Yeah.
well, let's see what you say in June,
July.
or July, or August when it's
Yep,
100 and some odd.
exactly.
Eh,
Tucson is lovely in December. Although,
most of Arizona is lovely in the
yeah, I was going to say,
winter.
there was a few jokes about the fact that the last time we were in Arizona, it snowed in Tucson.
Yes, I remember that.
And yeah, that was pretty bad. But
That's funny.
anyway, it's all good. So, safe trip. Home again.
Yeah, we basically timed the weather right. Friday it snowed. We drove home Saturday, got hit with a little snow in the mountains on the way home, and then Utah got a blizzard coming through, and we dodged it. So can't
All
complain.
right, well done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I told you last week that our worst driving was out of Utah in the
Right, heading
so
to Cheyenne.
Ogden Canyon. Yeah. But after that, we didn't have any real weather. We were kind of racing ahead of there did wind up being some tornadoes and, for the storm system that was trailing us.
Yeah.
But those kind of hit, the day and a half after we were in the Midwest. Or,
Yep.
if you looked at the map, the Mideast. So, anyway. So,
I don't know how the Midwest is east of.
Right.
Anyways,
yeah.
I have this picture in my head of what the center of the country is. And that's
Exactly.
clearly not where the East Coast thinks the center of the country is. The center of the country, if you're from the East Coast, the center of the country is New York.
Like Pennsylvania.
It is Chicago. That's the West. The Chicago.
Whatever. So,
Yeah,
but
all
anyway,
good.
yep. So I'm trying to remember last Wednesday, where were we when we recorded?
Pittsburgh, if I remember right.
Okay, Pittsburgh. Yep. So the next day, the day after that, we made it to the East Coast. So Thursday, and went out to the beach out on the Jersey Shore. Went to the farthest most northmost beach we could find, so that we could actually look across the water to see the skyline of Manhattan. And
Yeah.
so I think it's Jones. No, sorry, I don't remember the name of the beach.
Okay.
It was like dead. There were like 4 cars and nobody in the parking lot we parked in to walk out to the actual beach. So whatever, it was all good. But then, so the nice thing is landing there or arriving there on Thursday gave us all day Friday and all day Saturday in New York.
Nice.
So, it was cool.
Did you get to the Natural History Museum?
We did. That was our Saturday. Because Saturday was actually kind of supposed to be on the wet side.
Okay.
And so we figured that'd be an indoor day. It turned out the afternoon was gorgeous, but it was a little rainy in the morning. Is all. But and then we went to the Intrepid Air and Space Museum, and that'll be my something fun later for
yes,
Friday.
Okay.
And actually, I've still got a bad cough. My wife's not feeling well. We were sick. Negative COVID, But there's other things in the air these days now that not everybody's masked.
Yeah.
And so we kind of took it a little bit easy. It's not like, and we stayed over on the Jersey side, so we didn't make it to any shows or stay up, stay late in New York City or anything like that. But we did one of the bus tours because, we didn't really want to walk around too terribly much. That was fun.
Sure.
It was the first time my kids had ever been in New York. And that was cool because we kind of, got a chance to kind of get all over the island. Anyway, yeah, it was a good time.
Cool.
And, safe trip back to work. So it's all
nice.
good.
Yeah, we got home and found a trail of ants going from the kitchen, under the kitchen sink, to the bathroom sink. I couldn't find any food or couldn't find what they were looking for, but maybe it was a shortcut. They were tired of going around the outside of the house. They're like, hey, I found a shortcut. So
bring out the borax.
Bring out the borax.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we got home and just kind of jumped back into school and work and everything else. Back into things.
So. Well, I am. I was excited to come home because it's April and start planting stuff in the greenhouse. Because last year I was so discouraged by the mice in the greenhouse. So this year I tried to clean out, anything that they would be eating and leave out lots of bait, like poison.
Right.
In those little traps, which I know have gotten eaten. But so I planted some stuff literally yesterday, including a bunch of sunflowers. And I went out this morning after lunch to just kind of poke my nose in there, and they were all been dug up. I was so upset. I was like, I thought I had prepared the way, and they were like, ooh, tasty. I don't know. So we'll see. I refuse to be discouraged this year. I'm going to go. Come on, Bill Murray. Caddyshack.
The gopher.
On them. Yeah.
All right.
Or something. I don't know. Get out my 9-iron. So we'll see.
So have you started on your secret novel number 2 yet?
I have not. And have you already finished it?
No. I read the first page or two and stopped myself and said, I am going to need more time. So
yeah. No, I have not. I have not started yet.
Yeah. I'm going to need a whole day to probably sit and just plow through it. It looks like it's going to be a fast read.
Okay, well, I don't know if you know this, but Friday's a holiday. It's a random spring holiday, nothing to do with Easter.
Oh. That's right. I was unaware.
There you go. Well, see?
Now I got something to do on Friday.
Now you can keep your alarm. Tell the family, sorry, I gotta go work. Be downstairs
and start reading.
Sit on the couch, crack open the iPad, read away. No, so I got this was the week of books though, because I got the leather bound editions of Cradle, the first 3 books in the Cradle series from Kickstarter, delivered today or a couple days ago, and they are beautiful. And same with the hard copy of Trusts of the Emerald Sea. I don't know did you get your hard copy yet?
I didn't do the hard copies. I just did the digital and the audiobooks, so I didn't do the hard copies.
Okay. It is also a beautiful book. It's beautiful.
It looks really nice.
It's beautiful. So, anyway. Yeah, I was like, whatever. I'm in for a penny. I'm in for a pound.
Yeah,
it's all good.
I'm on book 8 of rereading the Cradle series, so
okay.
That's what I spent most of my last spring break week doing.
Well, you're going to finish book 11, and then you'll still have 2 months to wait.
Well,
that's book 12.
That's what in my head I'm like, do I stop after book 8 and read the Sanderson novel and then hop into 9, 10, 11 before June starts? Or,
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought I would plow through them and get a lot of the early ones out of the way over the spring break, and then my free time for reading is not as plentiful as it was over the spring break holiday. So I figure I'm trying to time it right, but I think I'm going to be ahead of the game. I forgot how fast the Cradle book reads are.
They're very quick reads. Yeah.
Anyways.
Yes. Fun. Well, welcome home. Back to it. You threw something in follow-up.
I did. Remember a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, we talked about a Google Zero vulnerability that they found in a certain chip on Android phones. It affected the Pixels and the Samsung chips.
Yep.
So I guess Samsung has responded and submitted hey, this really isn't a bad problem, but fixes are coming in April. Google already patched theirs in their March patch. Samsung apparently said that it's not that big a deal, but the patches are coming in the April security patch. So if you have a Samsung phone, you're still vulnerable to that Wi-Fi voice over LTE issue. And hopefully in April, at some point, you will have the patch. So if you got a Pixel, you should have the patch. Get updated, you should have the patch. If you got Samsung phones, you're still waiting for it. So that just a little follow-up there. And then my article number 1 from this week is I saw that the White House, the U.S. government, is going to restrict the use of commercial spyware tools as part of just by policy. So it's an executive order that I'm going to read the quote here, demonstrates the United States leadership in and commitment to advancing technology for democracy, including by countering the misuse of commercial spyware and other surveillance technology that poses a risk to national security. So there are some exceptions, and any U.S. agency using any commercial programs has to certify that the program doesn't pose any counterintelligence or other security risk. So just something that we'll see if other governments pick up on, but that should put a dent somewhat in commercial spyware tools when a leading government is going to restrict its use. Obviously, they're restricting it to use to just the government, but those kind of things tend to flow downhill, I think. So we'll see. They didn't publish a list of any banned programs.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out is how do you know what is and isn't allowed?
Well, since it's just for government, I think that, it's the government, any government agency will have to probably follow some process. I want to use tool X, and someone in the government will say, you can't, that is a commercial spyware tool, or they'll get an approval for it.
Yeah.
That's what I think. So we'll see. It was interesting. And
I won't hold my breath, but it is nice to see some movement.
Yeah. And then it also then leads to topic number 2 that I picked out, which was along with a new piece of legislation called the Restrict Act, which...
And what does that stand for?
It's being... I don't know.
I assume it's like a super long... The government really loves their super long
Yes, they love their cool acronyms.
Yeah.
No, but this is... Think of this as, hey, you've heard that the government wants to ban TikTok. Well, that's what this Restrict Act is kind of being purported as. But apparently now that the legislation has been proposed and people have been able to read it, they're starting to look at, you know what else could be included? Because they don't name TikTok specifically. The language is insanely broad. That's the quote from the article. And
of course it is.
Could very well include VPNs or, a whole host of pretty much anything the government doesn't want to have their citizens having access to. So it's an interesting article. It's in Vice. I would go read through it. The main piece of this is from a research scholar, Rihanna Pfefferkorn at Stanford Internet Observatory, said that this bill is troubling in that it would grant a great amount of power to the executive branch. That should be unsettling in any context. Recent examples around the world, from Israel to China, are showing us the risks that arise from upsetting checks and balances to favor executive power. And I think we in the U.S. have a long history of checks and balances that have been under threat in recent memory. So I have not read the Restrict Act. I don't know what it says. This is one article, so this might have obviously some slant or opinion to it, but it doesn't sound too great.
I definitely saw a number of memes, I guess, about only U.S. companies are allowed to spy on U.S. citizens and collect their data. Blah 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 blah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. There's no way that the U.S. would pass a actual data privacy act, or at least at this point, that would have some sort of teeth behind it, enforcing against what I certainly see as abuse by the big the big U.S. companies.
I'm waiting to see what our Senator Ron Wyden has to say about it. He tends
to have good opinions
on the side of a well-informed technical opinion on the ramifications of certain bills on privacy and security. So maybe I should write him and ask him for an opinion on it. Like engage in government.
He goes to I saw something the other day about he was doing some town hall in some county somewhere. I didn't even recognize the name of the county, because he has he's made a pledge that he holds a town hall in every county every year of the state, and I don't know how many counties are in the state, but anyway, I don't know. Yep. I still am not on the TikTok, so, I'm not the cool kid like you, but
I am not on the TikTok either. I mean, I had it for a while just to play around with it, and I was like, it's just as big a cesspool as anything in any other place, so I gave up. I'll have people send me TikToks, hey, this is funny, and you can watch it without having the app, but whatever.
Well,
there you go.
My kids are not into it, at least to the best of my knowledge, and they seem to mock social media, but they really do dig their Discords.
So yeah. I have one kid who is heavy into Instagram, one kid who's heavy into Discord. And I think there's definitely a personality
type
that way that goes the direction.
Yeah.
You know, the gamer, the small social circle, open. Yeah. So anyways,
yeah,
good stuff.
All right. Sounds good. My topic, tonight is, I got this from Zach. I did a lot of driving last week. But I got this from Zach Whitaker's, mailing list or mail that I get. I think he sends it out every Sunday generally, but it's about the, 3CX, vulnerability that was discovered last week, but specifically about the Mac, version of it. So, because evidently, so this was a, let's see, scroll back up to the top of the article. It's a VoIP or a voice over IP client that got broken via a supply chain attack. So, essentially the malware was injected and got through and got signed. So it was first discovered by CrowdStrike, I think. But there says 600,000 companies use it, 12 million users. But the reason I'm doing the objective, I'll put the Objective-C thing in here. Oh, it was called, what are they calling it? I don't have the name of it that they were, Smooth Operator. That's what they call it. Smooth Operator. Yeah.
Okay.
But evidently one of the other vendors said, quote, at this time, we cannot confirm that the Mac installer is similarly Trojanized. So, but Objective-C.org is a Mac security blog, basically. So they're like, oh, challenge accepted. So, they confirmed that the version of the app, so this is the 3CX desktop app, which is basically an Electron app for Mac, was not only signed by 3CX, but notarized. So, essentially, Apple checked it for malware and did not detect anything and went ahead and signed or notarized the app. There's a zillion files in an Electron app, as you can imagine. The file that Patrick arrowed in on was libffmpeg dynamic library, and the hash of which was not flagged as vulnerable on VirusTotal. So it does say that Apple has now revoked the code signing certificate. So, that's one of the nice things. And the reason why Apple does this in the first place is so they can revoke things from, being run. But if he goes and digs into the library and gets into it with a debugger, and shows that it is creating a couple of files. It's got a bunch of anti-debugging code in it. Things like, running timing loops and breaking out if the timing isn't done right. I think he said that it was looking for being, run in virtualization. So it writes out a file, generates a unique ID. What does it say? It says he generates a unique ID, writes it out to a file called main storage, and quote unquote encrypts it with the an XOR of 7A. And then it builds a URL to query, which in the debugger he can see is the malicious URL, the same malicious URL for the infrastructure that was used and documented by CrowdStrike and others for the Windows. Right. So, it makes sense that they're using the same infrastructure. Totally. The that infrastructure is offline at the moment, so can't debug past that. So, you can't run dynamic analysis anymore, but just looking at the static analysis, he went through and figured out, since that what was expected to happen is that they could download a file from the command and control infrastructure that would have been saved as update agent. And then there's a little bit of a decompiled script that you can see it writing to a file, doing a change mod on it to make it executable, and then running it. So at least in this blog, doesn't know what that second stage would have done because the infrastructure was offline, and maybe if there was a part 2, I didn't see it, but so they maybe he went and figured out what the sort of the second stage was. Mm-hmm. But the final cool thing I thought in this particular article was there was a comment on Twitter in reply to his thread about if you just take the XOR the whole file with 7A and see if anything falls out of it. There's a whole bunch of other URLs that are quote unquote encrypted with 7A in there. Like, I don't know, what is that? Like a dozen, maybe 15? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 15 URLs that showed up, and they're, a lot of variants on what the initial, URL was, which is one of these. So anyway, I thought that was a nifty little trick that, was shared on there. So that was cool. Oh, hey, I didn't notice there is a part 2. Well, maybe that'll be follow up next week, but, I think the tricky bit about this, and maybe there's more on some of the other articles I didn't read. So I didn't see anything about how the supply chain check actually occurred. It'll be interesting to kind of look for follow up on that. And then,
especially on the Mac.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because you kind of have to target the Mac if you want to get stuff on the Mac, and the Mac is not typically a
right. Yeah, totally.
Platform that is worth your effort, but
doesn't tend to be, or it's unusual, I think, to see sort of the same 0 day. I mean, I think there was another comment in here. I guess I didn't say this earlier. It was it was a fat binary, both x86 and ARM. And only the x86 seemed to be broken of the libffmpeg, which, but you're not entirely safe on ARM. It's possible that could have loaded and run if you had Rosetta running, right. Enabled.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I thought that was another interesting thing. I guess I didn't actually call out. But yeah, anyway, I like, I've read a bunch of stuff that Patrick Wardle publishes, and always enjoy walking through them. So,
yep.
There you go. Enjoy.
Good stuff. Nice.
Yeah. How about something fun?
Well, speaking of enjoying, so I had never seen this before, and maybe everybody else in the world knows about this. It was new to me. While on spring break, as you would touring college campuses, we went through their bookstores, the various bookstores and little treat areas, and I discovered this freeze-dried Skittles. And they were
I have never heard of such a thing.
Freeze-dried candy sections in all these bookstores, in the snack areas. And I don't know if it was just a Utah thing or if this is now going nationwide. I haven't seen them in any stores locally. So I thought, well, why not? Let's buy a bag of freeze-dried Skittles. They were actually good. They kind of puffed up. It was kind of like eating Skittles popcorn, like a Whopper, but in Skittle form. So
weird.
I'll put a link. And now I kind of want to get a freeze dryer. Because just think of the fun things you can do with a freeze dryer.
I feel like this is a will it blend kind of thing.
Yeah. Will it freeze dry? Anyways, if you have
reminds me of that astronaut's ice cream or whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. The freeze dried, because it removes all the water out of it and it kind of dries it. So it what was weird was they kind of puff up like, popcorn. So I just Googled a freeze dried candy website to see and so there is the freezedriedcandystore.com. So you can
of course
get
there is
freeze-dried Skittles, and you can see what they look like. So there'll be pictures there. You can see what they look like. They kind of puff up. They taste very intense. Skittles are kind of squishy and gooey.
Yeah.
These are like if Skittles were Whoppers. They're light and airy.
I like Whoppers.
Poofy, and they kind of melt in your mouth. The sugar kind of melts in your mouth. And the flavor is intense, more intense than a regular Skittle, I think. So if you get a chance, if you see them somewhere, try freeze-dried Skittles.
Okay. If that is well known, it is not well known to me.
Me either. I had to discover it on a road trip.
I didn't even know you could get like a freeze dryer by hand. I don't even know what that is. I thought they did this with like liquid nitrogen or something like that.
You can buy commercial home ones now. I think I found one for like $3,000. They're not cheap. It's like $3,000.
Oh, whoa!
For a home freeze dryer. But,
that's funny.
Yeah. Anyways, there you go. That's my something fun.
Okay.
Try freeze dried Skittles.
Okay. There you go. All right. Well, my something fun is going to be, I intimated earlier, the Intrepid Air and Space Museum, but specifically, really, space shuttles. Mm-hmm. So, I definitely grew up in the 80s, 70s and 80s, which was the heyday of the space shuttle.
Yep.
And so, one of the things that our family has been doing kind of super slowly. It's not like we have made a point of this. I just looked at some pictures and my kids were pretty young when we were last in Florida, but we've been trying to go see the 4 space shuttles. So when we were in New York, that was one of the things was we could go and we could see number 3 of the space shuttles because the Shuttle Enterprise is on the back of an aircraft carrier, the Intrepid, in New York on the Hudson River. So
nice. Yep.
The World War II aircraft carrier, and they built this kind of a wart, a shuttle enclosure on the back of the aircraft carrier to hold the Enterprise. But there were essentially 6 shuttles built, but only 5 ever went to space. And those were Columbia, Challenger, both of which are no longer with us. Atlantis, Endeavor, and Enterprise. Or sorry, Discovery, Atlantis, Endeavor, and Enterprise. And so I think what I didn't realize, and I don't know why, it was just from ignorance, like Enterprise never actually went to space. It was the test flight vehicle, it was put on top of the jet and released a few times to test landing. Would we be able to transport it across the country? How will it actually glide, and will it be able to land after reentry, etc.? But it never actually was made space worthy. So there's no toilet in it. There's no living quarters. Like it's basically it's the model. And then they had intended on retrofitting it for space after the tests, but they made significant enough changes that they decided it would be too expensive to retrofit it.
Oh, okay.
So it stayed as a test vehicle, and they used parts of it to experiment with some of the post-disaster investigations to see what happens if a piece of foam breaks off and actually hits the wing at a particular speed, etc. So they it served its purpose, but it never made it to space, and which was kind of funny because we walked in and like I said, we didn't really realize that before. We thought we were going to see shuttle 3 of the 4, and we walked in and my wife was like, "That is too pristine." It doesn't look clean. It doesn't look like it's been actually used. But
I have
anyway,
seen
it
the
was
space
pretty
shuttle
funny
before, and this does not look like a
space
shuttle.
It looks like a model, which is ironic because we went to the dinosaur bones and or the Natural History Museum, and there's a lot of those bones that are just plaster or whatever they use. Anyway, it was a great exhibit. Totally worth half a day. We walked around the aircraft carrier as well, obviously. But so now we've done 3 of the 4 that remain. There's one, the Atlantis is in Kennedy Space Center in Florida. There's the Endeavor, which is in the California Science Center in LA. Mm-hmm. We've now done the Enterprise, which is the Intrepid Air and Space Museum in New York. And then the 4th is Discovery, which is in Washington, D.C. I think it's at the Air and Space Museum.
Right outside Dulles. So I have seen that one, and I've seen the one in Florida. So I've been to D.C. and Florida.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
So between the 2 of us, we've seen them all.
Yes. Well, so now we got to get to DC at some point here. Yeah, that'll be fun. So anyway, that's my something fun. I will throw the Wikipedia link to space shuttles in for the notes for this chapter, and
cool.
I think that I regret not ever getting to go to a launch. So I want to go to a rocket launch at some point, but
yeah. Well,
these days it would probably be a SpaceX. Which
there's still all the SpaceX ones you can go to, or Blue Origin, or what's the other one? I'm sure there'll be plenty.
Someday. Yeah, Virgin Galactic.
Yeah, some of them.
I don't know. Anyway, fun. It's all good.
All right, dude.
All right, my friend. Have a good night.
You too.
I will talk to you later.
We'll
Bye.
see ya. Bye.